Observable notebooks are live, reactive documents running in the browser. That opens up tons of possibilities for creating interactive, explorable content that really lets my readers get hands-on with my notebooks. So let's explore how to capture user input and create interactive content in Observable. In this notebook, I've got a cell with an HTML header element here, which I've created using the HTML built-in tag. Check out our video on Markdown and HTML to learn more about that. Right now, this element is hard-coded to say reader, but maybe I want it to refer to my reader by name. To do that, I could add a new cell with a string value for their name. I'll start it out with my name here. And let's give this cell a name. How about my name? So inventive. Okay, Shift Enter. Now I've got the my name value, and I can insert it in my header by using a $ and curly braces. And when I run this with Shift Enter, ta-da, I get their name. Now, since all observable notebooks are editable, my reader could edit the source code of this cell and replace my name with theirs, but maybe I want to give them a little bit of a nicer interface. I can add a new cell with an HTML input element. And let's name this cell your name. Haha. Now my reader has a nice little text box to type their name into. Okay, now let's try to get the value of this element into my header above. If I just replace my name with your name here, well, that didn't work. Your name refers to the actual HTML element, not the text inside of it. So now things are just all confused. So let's undo that and restart here. Now in JavaScript, I can use the value property to refer to the value of an element. So why don't I try replacing my name here with your name.value. And there we go. I have my user's name in my header. But what happens if the user changes this input text here? Nothing changed in my header above. It still shows the same name. I'd have to manually rerun this cell to see it update. What's the deal here? I thought Observable was supposed to be reactive, so why isn't it updating? Well, the problem I've run into is that an HTML element like this is mutable. Even though the value of this element can change over time, the cell itself isn't changed. So when I type in the text box here, Observable thinks, the source code hasn't changed, it hasn't been edited or rerun, and so it doesn't update any references to it like the one in my header here. Now I could handle this by writing a bunch of JavaScript to attach event listeners to the element and manage the mutable state myself. Ugh, sounds like a lot of work. Luckily, there's a much simpler built-in solution in Observable, the viewof operator. If I add the keyword viewof before my cell's name here, what I'm telling Observable is essentially, hey, this is a special cell. It's got a user input element, and whenever the user changes the value there, I want you to update any cells that depend on that value. This special type of cell is called a view. Behind the scenes, Observable is kind of splitting the cell into two parts. The interactive DOM element I see on the page, and the value of that element, which I'll now be able to access as the value of the cell. So once I run this to turn my cell into a view, and I input some content, now I will be able to refer to the value of that text box with just your name in my header above. And once I run that, I'll have a reactively updating reference to my user input element. Check out our Introduction to Views notebook to learn more about how viewof works. Okay, now we've got some basic text input, but let's see if we can jazz this up even more. How about a color picker for my reader's favorite color? I can add a new cell with a view of an HTML color input. Okay, then in my header, I can add some CSS referencing that. Okay, and now I can change this color reactively. Beautiful. Sweet. I've created some basic inputs with viewof and HTML tags. But eventually I might want more complex inputs. I might want to add labels or default values or custom styling, and writing all of that HTML by hand might get kind of annoying. Luckily, Observable isn't just a snazzy notebook interface. It's also a community-powered ecosystem of shareable, reusable code. One of the most widely used notebooks in that ecosystem is the Inputs Notebook by Jeremy Ashkenaz. This has tons of different types of input elements, which I can import to use in my own notebooks. Let's take a look at the color picker, say. Okay, this is already much more readable than mine. You got the value on the side, we got some labels, some descriptions. Nice, I want it. I'm going to copy this import color statement here and paste it into a new cell in my notebook. Now I have a color function available in my notebook that will create a color picker for me. Stay tuned for our video about imports and code reuse to find out more about what just happened there. Let's replace my original input element with a call to the imported color function. And I'm going to pass in some default value maybe. And how about a title? Okay, and now I have a much nicer little input. Now how about we get really fancy and use some of these input values to create an interactive data visualization. I went ahead and added a little bar chart here that shows the frequency of letters in the English alphabet. I stole it from a notebook by my colleague Visnu Pityanuvath. This chart uses the Vega Lite DataVis library. You can learn all about it in Visnu's Observable for Vega Lite series. Now, I pretty much just stole this, so I don't totally understand all of the syntax that's happening here. But let's see if I can personalize this to, for example, use my reader's favorite color instead of this hard-coded value. If I replace that color value with your color, voila, so pretty. And now my reader can update it however they like. Okay, now let's see if we can even customize the chart data. How about we only show the letters that occur in their name? The data the chart is using here is called letter frequencies. Let's take a look at that. It's an array of objects, each with a letter and a frequency, kind of like rows in a table. If I use JavaScript's array filter method, I can filter down this data to only include rows where your name includes the row's letter. Oh, and it looks like all of the letters there were capitalized, so let me convert this to uppercase first. There we go. Okay, looks pretty good. Let's name that cell your letters. And let's drop it in place of the original data in my chart. Awesome. And now, whenever the name or the color changes, my chart updates reactively. Now, so far, we've only been working with HTML form inputs in our views, and that already opens up a ton of possibilities. But views can go way beyond that, too. How about a map users can click on that gives me the geographic coordinates as its value? Or a chart that allows users to visually select just the data that they're interested in? Or a canvas to draw on that captures the drawing as data? Or how about speech recognition as an input? That'd be pretty cool, right? Right. The possibilities are practically limitless now that we've learned how to use viewof to let our notebooks react to user input. Don't forget to read through that inputs notebook for inspiration, read up on Vega Lite, and check out our other videos for much more observable goodness.